Now, it is true that individuals can get out of debt, but collectively the system cannot. To keep this system going, every generation, you look like the youngest one, has to get deeper and deeper in debt for us old folks to have a living, or to retire, or anything else. Because I don't have a lot of it, but I should, tied up in somebody else's assets, which is their borrowed money. So the young generation has to be deeper and deeper and deeper into interest-bearing debt every day for us oldest folks to have a retirement, to have any property paid for, or anything else. And how many times did they tell you that in school? I didn't think so. And see, we don't read this in economic books, but this is exactly how it works, and I didn't dream this up. I got the actual information from the United States Treasury when I wrote to them. And when the Russell Monk said the banks extend credit, I'd like to show you exactly the definition of the credit they extend. This is the Federal Reserve Purpose and Function, 3rd edition, right from the Federal Reserve Board itself. And it says, on page 6, all bank deposits are a form of credit. Every penny somebody has in a checking account is a form of credit from the bank. That represents amounts owed to that the banks owe to the depositors. They didn't loan them anything. All they put in was a promise to pay you. That's why it goes on the books as a liability to the bank and an asset to you. They come into existence by exchange of banks' promises to pay customers for various assets which banks acquire. Currency, promissory notes of businesses, consumers, and other customers, mortgages on real estate, and government bonds and other securities. So our money is 100% backed by our property as an asset to the banking system, which we pay interest on, that they don't give us anything but numbers in the checking account, which used to be as a promise to pay, and they even took that away. Now, I took one of these notes and sent it down to the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis and asked them to pay me the dollars they owed me. And they just sent it back. But they did call me, and one fellow did down at the Federal Reserve, and said, I don't understand your letter. Well, I said, it's a simple little letter. I have a note here from the bank promising to pay me, and I wrote them a letter and asked them to pay me, and they refused to do it. So I'm just in here to court to get, have you enforce the judgment or give me a judgment so I can take their bank or whatever. And he looked awful funny, the judge did, and he turned over to the Federal Reserve attorney, because we just sued him in small claims court because I knew I'd lose. I just didn't want to get too much money into it, but I wanted to see what I could learn. And he turned to the Federal Reserve attorney, and he says, what do you got to say? Well, everything he said is true, but when they made the notes legal tender, they made them payment of the debt they represent. Now, don't you wish when you got a loan that it would become payment of the loan that the money you borrowed? That'd be a great deal, wouldn't it? Because now, as soon as you made the loan, you wouldn't owe anything anymore because the debt has become the payment of the debt. And so she didn't know what to do, and he didn't know what to do, and so she said, well, this really belongs in federal court. And I said, well, I don't think so. I think the state must have some jurisdiction because I happen to know that the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis pays about $2 million a year in taxes to Hemmington County, and I can't understand why anybody would pay taxes to anybody who didn't have any jurisdiction whatsoever over them. If they didn't have any jurisdiction, they couldn't collect the taxes anyway, force you to pay, so why would you pay them? And it kind of run downhill from there. And so, obviously, we closed the hearing that day, and I said, I just have one more comment I'd like to make, Your Honor, before we close. We went into what a dollar was, because, see, I said in the letter I sent him, I said, I don't know what a dollar is, and I don't really care. So just to make sure we don't have any arguments after you send me the payment, just include the statutory definition of the word dollar so I know I got the right thing. And I will accept whatever it is. I don't care what it is. That's immaterial to me. I don't care what a dollar is. I just think they spend well, and I like to have the things they'll buy, right? And so then the judge wanted to know what I thought the definition of dollar does, and I said, I don't have a clue. I know I have 4 things in my pocket. I had a Susan A. B. Anthony, I had a Sacagawea dollar, I had a United States note, and a Federal Reserve note, a silver dollar, pure silver. And it says every one of these says it's a dollar on its face, and they're all absolutely different in weight, volume, principle, and everything. So those all are so confusing to me. I don't have a clue what could possibly be or what it means. And I said, I've only found one law that specifically says a dollar is that, and that's the 1792 Coinage Act that says a dollar shall be 371 1/4 grains of silver, and obviously we know that we're not doing that anymore. And he said, well, that's true, and we don't have to. And I said, well, I'm not arguing that, but it clearly says you'll pay me something, and they refused to even do that. So we ended the court on that, and I said, well, one last thing, I'd like to make one comment. And the judge said, okay, with your permission, and I said, okay. And I said, now, all I really want to know is how final payment is made. Because obviously we're not making any real final payments, or the debt wouldn't constantly keep going. Because if you'd all actually paid me, would somebody ended up losing their property or still having debt out there and no money and still owing me interest? With no money in the whole system to pay the interest, unless they borrowed some more from me? That can't possibly be determined to be final payment. So what is it, and how do we make final payment on the debt? And discharge the obligation and still have money or something in circulation? And he got real red, and that was into that. The next day, I got a note that they dismissed my complaint with prejudice, so I could never, sue or get anything. And they wanted to put sanctions on me and everything for suing in the first place. And so anyway, I didn't want to re-sue them anyway, but I thought, well, just for kicks, I'll go down and appeal it, because I have the right of appeal. So we appealed it from magistrate court into district court, and then it went to federal court in just a little bit. And that's when she wanted to fine me. And it was a cute thing, because she said, I want him fined, I want something done to him, but do not fine him in dollars, because if you do, he'll just say, well, tell me what the heck it is, and I'll try to get it to you. I don't know, she said, so whatever you do, sanction him in some way, but don't sanction him in dollars. Because it won't do any good. He'll just say, well, I don't know what it is. If you tell me what it is, I'll do my best to go get it. And I've done that a time or two in court, and I don't think I'd try it if I was you, unless you have done a lot of homework, because sometimes the result isn't what you might imagine. They don't tell you, but they might put you in jail. I've been in jail for that too. But that's neither. And for just saying, well, okay, I owe a traffic ticket, and I'll pay it. Tell me what a dollar is. You want so many dollars, don't you? And I said, you did want dollars? And they said, yes. And I said, well, I don't know what a dollar is. Well, Federal Reserve note. Well, no, I asked you specifically. You didn't say anything about notes. You said dollars. I mean, I'll gladly give you a note, but you won't take that anyway. And then it goes around and around, and the one judge wrote and said, well, everybody knows what a dollar is but you. And I said, well, if that's true, it ought to be simple for you to write down a clear definition that I can read and understand. I mean, I may not read well, but I can read, and I can look up the words in the dictionary. So I won't see if it's so clearly everybody understands it, I shouldn't have any problem, reading and understanding what your definition is, but they never give you one. And of course, the whole question, I said I wouldn't speak too long, because I want to open it up for some question and answers, unless you want me to go on a little bit longer. I mean, I don't care. I actually enjoy this, if you want to know the truth. I haven't enjoyed all the experiences I've got from getting this information. I'll be real honest to tell you that. I did not enjoy that at all, some of them.